Hey, welcome to another day of mobility with the 5-pillar method. Let's start by assuming the position. Find a nice comfy spot on your mat, lying on your back. Take a few breaths to just let go of any ongoing stress. And pay a little attention to your breath. Don't worry about the pacing or the depth or changing it in any way. Just observe your natural breath. Observe some of the feelings around you. Pay attention to how the mat's feeling on your body. The sensation of the breath on its way in and on the way out. Just taking a few moments to appreciate the little things and be present. And we'll start to slowly massage that breath into a pace and depth and a structure that helps you relax. And if you find counting the pacing of your breath helpful, you can get into that. That's a good way to get progressive as well. But if counting adds any kind of stress or anxiety itself, don't bother counting. Just allow yourself to find a pace of breath that feels natural and helps you find that state of calm. And start to direct that air deep into the diaphragm and breathing through the nose if you can. And let's take one more good quality breath. And as you exhale that breath, we'll sit up and start working our way through the left adductor. And we typically recommend the fingers on this, fingers or thumbs. You can use a kettlebell or a hard object. It's really whatever you find most efficient. You find the fingers the least cumbersome and the most specific. Whatever version you have, just start working your way through your inner thigh area and doing some searching for areas that are sticky or tense. Just feel they're restrictive and not moving as well as the tissues around it. And once you've found that trouble spot, that target area for today, experiment a little with how you're addressing that tension. You might be pressing totally straight on. You might be pressing at a slight angle. You might be moving. You might be a static pressure. Just feel it what feels right for today. Whatever method helps you calm that tissue down and stay nice and relaxed mentally, with just enough pressure to help that tissue release itself. And let's take one more breath here. As you sigh out that breath, we'll switch into the right side. So since the hips are really prone to imbalances, this side might feel very different. That said, it may feel the same. It really depends on your own anatomy, your hip structure, your hip rotations, your injury history. So do a little search, and when you find an area that needs attention, settle into that area. Let that be your focus. Do a little experimenting with how much tension we're applying to that target area. And if we are using the upper body here, this is obviously a little active with the upper body, but still try to remain passive as you can. There are muscles we need to hold this position and to do this exercise, but there are muscles we don't need. So try to relax through your face, through your feet, and just mentally try to stay relaxed. And allow that mental, relaxed state of mind work its way through your whole body. Let's take one more breath here. As you sigh out that breath, we'll work our way into the quad. Starting with that left quadricep, we'll go face down on your lacrosse ball. Or if you have a preferred method to work through your quad, might be a kettlebell, might be a foam roller. Whatever you have handy, search through that quad for areas that need attention. And your specific area is going to be specific to you. We all tend to carry tension in our own unique spots. So let the video, the exercise, and the anatomy pick be your guide, but let your body be your feedback in helping you decide what your body needs today. And once you've found that target, do your best to sync those quads to your breathing and maintaining that nice relaxed pace of breath. And on your next exhale, just imagine that target area just softening. Imagine it just letting go of tension as you're letting go of air. Getting as passive as you can, feeling that tissue just fold over that object, getting nice and soft. Let's take one more breath here, and we'll switch into the right side. So again, you may feel significantly different on the right compared to the left. You might feel totally the same, or somewhere in between. Find whatever needs attention on this side, and then experiment a little with how you're addressing that tissue. Whether you're rolling, whether you're statically on it, whether you're rolling with the fibers or against the fibers, how much you're leaning into it. Your tissue feels okay. We feel like we can add that tension, a little bit higher pressure. Just taking parts of your body away from contact in the floor, just to increase the pressure in that target area. And just being conscious to not get into pain. We want to find that happy medium spot where we're getting a release, but we're not getting into pain, where nothing around that tissue is starting to tense up. And we're still able to stay nice and calm mentally, able to maintain that nice relaxing pace of breath. And let's take one more breath here. We'll sigh out that breath, and we'll take our attention into the left glute. So we'll go face up on your lacrosse ball. Start by searching your way through that glute. The glutes are one of your strongest muscles, one of your biggest muscles, and they've got a lot of layers to them. You can carry tension in a lot of different spots. So do some searching. If you've got a specific trouble spot that tends to ail you, feel free to stay there, but try not to fall into a comfort zone, hitting the same spot every time. We do want to try to mix this up. Try to feel out what needs attention today. And once you're there, settle back into your breath. Try to maintain that pacing of breath. It helps you stay calm. And every time you exhale, challenge yourself to get a little more passive around that target area and around any muscle that we don't need right now. When we work through the glutes, it can be helpful to take yourself through range of motion you struggle with. Let's take one more breath on this side. We'll slowly sigh out that breath, and we'll switch into the right side. And start by searching. It's never a bad idea to start in the same area, but if you don't feel the same tension in the same area, feel free to keep searching. You could be tense in that upper band of the glute where it meets the back. It could be the lateral side, it could be the lower side, it could be right in the middle of the belly. This is all about getting better connected with your body, better connected with what your body needs, and how to use this program to get the most benefit. And the only real way to figure that out is by testing stuff out. So let the video be your starting point, and let your body's feedback help you refine what needs attention. And once we're there, settle back to your breathing. Challenge yourself to maintain that nice pace of breath that helps you stay nice and relaxed. And every exhale, challenge yourself to get a little more passive around that target area and around any muscle we're not using. Let's take one more good quality diaphragmatic breath here. And as you sigh out that breath, we'll shift our attention to the left hamstring. And there's a few ways to tackle hamstring. One of the most effective ways that we find is sitting on a hard object, using your lacrosse ball, and searching through that whole backside of your thigh for where you're carrying tension. And it can be helpful to get a little bit of a stretch through the hamstring, just leaning your torso into it to expose which areas are tense. It can be helpful to move on that lacrosse ball. It can be helpful to move with the fibers or against the fibers. So try to keep changing up the direction, or just hang out where you're at statically. Don't bother moving at all. Feel out what your body needs today. And when you've settled into the version that's going to work for you today, concentrate on getting passive. Passive through that hamstring. Passive through your stress muscles, your traps, your face, your brow. Challenge yourself to get a little more relaxed with each breath. And let's take one more good quality breath here. As you sigh out that breath, we'll take our attention to the right side. We'll start by panning through that right side, looking for what's carrying tension there. Just like all those muscles around the hips, your right can vary differently from your left, or it could be almost the same. Really depends on your own hip structure, your activity history, your posture, your stress levels. So there are no hard rules on what is going to work here. You really have to listen to your body and really feel out what needs attention. Experiment with how much tension we're applying to relieve that tissue. And doing everything we can to stay as passive as we can. And your breath is one of your most powerful tools to do that. Maintain that nice, deep, diaphragmatic breath with that nice slow pace that helps you find peace and calm mentally. Mentally doing your best to stay in your happy place. Letting go of any ongoing stress. And letting go of any tension. One more breath here. As we sigh out that breath, we'll move into a little left knee traction. So there is a banded option. If you have a resistance band and you know the banded option for the knee and you're comfortable with that, feel free to loop around your ankle. We're going to demonstrate the non-band option. And the idea here is just gently pushing and rotating your tibia away from your knee, just to free up that space a little. This is a new exercise. Err on the side of going extra easy. We don't need a ton of force here. The idea is we're just going to create a little bit of breathing room in the joint to allow it to glide a little better. So just gently pulling your shin bone away from your knee and thigh bone and gently rotating it inwards. Let's try one more rep here. As you finish up, we'll sigh out that breath. And we'll shift to the right knee. So just firmly grabbing your right shin using your hands, gently pulling the shin bone away from your thigh bone and rotating inwards. And this should be completely pain-free. You really shouldn't feel much at all here. All we're looking for is a really subtle pressure release. Just be sensitive to how your body's responding. Give a subtle push and a subtle turn as you work your way through. And as long as things are feeling okay, we can be a tiny bit more aggressive as we go. Just always being sensitive to how your body's responding. This is one of those fairly active exercises, but again, doing your best to stay calm, using your breath. Let's take one more breath here. And we'll shift into a left dragon stretch. Let's step that left leg forward into an extended lunge. And we'll rotate your right leg towards your midline to open up a little bit of external rotation stretch, a little bit of groin stretch, and a little bit of hip flexor. This is a nice hybrid combination stretch. And to really target that groin, if you lean your torso right in the middle of your back leg and your lead leg, you can let that torso drop towards the floor. Just settle into whatever version of this stretch feels right. Again, use the video to guide you in the position. And experiment a little with what exactly your body's going to respond best to today. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active. And as we get active, imagine shrinking the space between your right knee and your left heel. And let's go ahead. Starting nice and easy. Imagine trying to shrink that space, slowly ramping up tension as we go. Really adding some big tension here for the end. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse that. Imagine trying to spread your right knee and your left heel further apart, using those glutes. Ramping up that tension as we go, squeezing through those outer thighs. Big tension here to finish up, really squeeze. And big breath out, relax, get nice and passive. You may find you're a little deeper into the stretch, and if not, that's okay. Just continue to express patience. We really can't rush this. Even if we're doing all the right things, mobility just takes time. Just trust that we're getting there. We're still doing good things. We're still strengthening your body at its most vulnerable positions, preventing injury. Let's take one more breath here. We exhale, we'll switch sides. Step that right leg through into an extended lunge. Kickstand that back leg towards your midline. And let your torso fall somewhere in between your lead heel and your back leg. Settle into whatever version of stretch feels like it's right for your body today. Allow yourself to get passive in this pose. Just submit to the position. Settle back into that nice pacing of breath. It helps you relax. And in 10 seconds, we'll start to gradually get active and reverse this stretch, or attempt to. And let's go ahead. Imagine trying to shrink the space in between your lead heel and your back knee. Activating through the groin, through the hip flexor, ramping up tension as we go. Big tension here to finish. 3, 2, 1. Let's attempt to reverse that. Attempt to spread the space apart in between your knee and your heel. Ramping up tension as we go. Give it a good squeeze here for these last 5. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Get nice and passive. Just relax into the stretch. Challenge yourself to get as passive as you can. Turn off any muscle we don't need. Relax through your face. Concentrate on that breath. Let's take one more good quality breath here. And as you sigh out that breath, we'll move into a squat stretch. So let's move your feet to about shoulder width, or about where you would normally squat from, whatever that may be. And let's drop your hips to the end of your pain-free range of motion. And if dropping all the way down is painful for you, feel free to prop your hips up on something that stops you from dropping all the way down. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active through the knee using those quads. And let's go ahead, attempting to reverse the squat around the knee. Pressing into the heel, activating through your quad. Big tension here for these last 5, 3, 2, 1. Let's try to reverse that. Activate through your hamstring. Try to pull your heel closer to your hips, or your hips closer to your heels, ramping up tension as we go. Big tension here for these last 5, 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Nice and passive. Concentrate on your breath. Find that pace of breath. It helps you find calm. Let's turn off any muscle we don't need. Mentally go to your happy place. Let's take a second to enjoy the moment. Let's take one more good quality breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath, and we'll call it a day. Thanks for joining us here for some 5-pillar mobility. Hope you're starting to get some benefits through the program. If you're liking the program, please do subscribe and like, and feel free to comment if you have requests or feedback for us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.